Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. I hope you all enjoyed a couple drinks upstairs, get to know each other. Before we get things kicked off, I'm going to tell you a little bit about IoT Waterloo. We're a peer-to-peer network group that's been sharing knowledge since 2014 now. And we absorb best practices through over 1,900 members in an emerging space so that we can all learn together. We've been doing it for 2014, as I mentioned, and we're hearing from many speakers leading in the IoT industry. Those are just a few shots of some of the people that have been to previous events, from beacons, RFID technology, smart cities, industrial IoT, cryptography, the list goes on, startups, security, and it goes on and on. So you're in the right place if you're interested in that type of knowledge. And tonight's event, as well as others, can't be brought to us without the support of our sponsors. So the IEEE Young Professionals, eScript and Shopify Plus are generous enough to help us make this event tonight. We're going to hear from Rob Lampert of eScript, going to tell us a little bit about what they're doing, as well from Uche of Hitch and Bjorn from Grovo. If you haven't already met them upstairs during the networking, you're going to learn a little bit more about their stories, so that's going to be exciting. And then, so we're changing it up this time. Usually we break up a networking session in the middle of a talk, but we're actually going to just do two and then close the night with networking, so that I don't have to rally everybody back and forth. So we'll do that. The goal of the event is to meet somebody new, learn something new. Can I get a show of hands of how many people have been to an event? One of our previous ones? Okay, and how many people are new? All right, so there's lots of a mix here to definitely meet some new people and then hopefully learn something new. So without further ado, let me welcome Rob to the stage, and he'll share us what's going on with eScript.
eScript is a German-based company that has recently opened an office in Waterloo, and now it's moved to Kitchener, to Waterloo from Kitchener. And we also have recently acquired another small Waterloo company called TrustPoint. TrustPoint has had a big effect in the IoT space, and now with the backing of eScript, and behind eScript is another big company you probably know called Bosch. So you could have the kind of innovative work that was coming from TrustPoint, but with the stability and long-term goals and power of big companies. So that's one thing that's going on. eScript is an automotive security company mostly, so we do a lot of automotive consulting. So if you need IoT, if you need automotive security, we're right in town and we're ready to work with you. Also, if you're interested in security, embedded security, web security, then come along and talk with us because we need lots of people. So we're very happy to sponsor the event tonight and look forward to talking with you later.
We are going to get Uche to the stage. Where's Uche? Ah, there you are. Okay. And then I have to get his slides going. So please welcome Uche, who is, well, let me give you a little bit of a readout here, what you're doing. So Uche is the co-founder of Hitch. Uche will be talking about accelerating sustainable broadband in emerging markets. Hitch is an enhanced smart wireless mesh router that enables communities to automatically build, operate, and sustain self-contained internet platforms. So here's Uche.
I want to thank the IoT Waterloo community for this opportunity. I also want to thank the IoT Waterloo team, with Ian and the rest of the team for this opportunity. Just to give a bit of a background, I was originally supposed to be a speaker at the IoT Waterloo Ambient Conference 2 years ago in August, but around the same time I was applying for a student permit to come back into Canada from the US, and the processing took longer than expected. I ended up missing that event. But I want to thank Ian that he was very supportive, understanding, and even though it happened at the last minute, he was very helpful. And ever since I got back in, he's helped me re-engage into the community, and I want to thank him for that. So thank you so much. So we are a technology for impact firm with offices in Kitchener-Waterloo and Abuja in Nigeria, where I originally was based. And Hitch is on a mission to change the lives of users in poorly serviced internet areas using video content for sustainable impact. So we take stable broadband for granted, so much so that if our Netflix connection drops, we're frustrated. We often forget that broadband is the reason we have access to more information than at any other point in in human history. 4 billion people don't have the luxury of forgetting. For them, broadband is crucial because it can deliver videos in local languages to improve skills in agriculture, education, and healthcare. Several decades of research affirm video's positive impact on learning. Broadband also empowers local entertainment, talent, and content to flourish. Demand for video is exploding. However, for rural populations, broadband for video supply is highly unavailable, unaffordable, and inaccessible. 1 billion Africans and 160 million Nigerians don't have it. Nigeria has an estimated 100 million smallholder farmers who farm between 1 to 2 acres of land, with 15 million of them registered by the government. So we built Hitch, a solar-powered smart Wi-Fi router and predictive video caching platform. Users need impactful videos, and Hitch devices deliver them. So running custom software on a Linux-based platform, our routers directly connect to each other automatically. Internet-connected routers cache videos with permission to share with users over public access community Wi-Fi and other offline routers up to 10 kilometers away, removing avoidable bandwidth costs. So the routers download the content once and share them or redistribute many times. And they supply videos to multiple end-user Wi-Fi devices at various community data hubs or Hitch spots. The routers also provide affordable off-grid energy access via built-in ports for charging personal devices like phones or LED lamps, all powered by solar and battery capacity. So in Nigeria, broadband is via costly mobile data plans. Hitch achieves significant savings by buying data in bulk, downloading videos once, and sharing them many times via public access community Wi-Fi and direct peer-to-peer mesh access with up to 5 routers. So the majority of our target users in our launch market in Nigeria are in rural areas. Customer interviews confirm that 200,000 Nigerian farming communities actually drive the rural communities. And these farming co-ops, the 200,000 Nigerian farming co-ops, we're starting a pilot for them in 4 months to deliver educational videos for farmers to 1,000 of them. In each co-op, you usually have about 20 to 30 smallholder farmers. So we have an approval in principle from the Nigerian government to pay for this pilot. After this, we hope to sell the routers at 10% margin to co-ops, and then the members contribute monthly subscriptions, which are usually $10 per router, which is about 5% of average monthly income. Each router has built-in capacity enhancements to augment the core networking functions. These include additional mini computing, solid-state storage, and solar and battery resources that power a community-wide platform for delivering content, services, and applications all the way into the smallholder farming household. So current efforts right now focus on basic connectivity to poorly serviced areas, giving people text access and all of that, but significant adoption barriers remain, especially around literacy and functionality, which our focus on impactful videos in local languages surmounts. We're better because we also focus on local ownership and knowledge, plus scalable revenue share partnerships with Nigerian farming co-ops, leading agriculture and local content producers, as well as the major telcos. We're the team to do this because we've worked on a government project delivering useful information to Nigerian farmers since 2012. We've learned firsthand with feedback from users and partners in the field. We have 5 decades of technology, business development, operations, and content management experience in this space. We have a balanced advisory board across antenna design, business mentorship, Nigerian pilot guidance, and the KW ecosystem networking. We have received grants from the Nigerian government, the World Bank, and the Waterloo Institute for Sustainable Energy, which is a research institute at the University of Waterloo, to complete our minimum viable product. We're currently raising funds to assist our overall technology development and produce launch-ready routers. The test deployment of public community data hubs or Hitch spots using our routers in Nigeria will enable users to affordably store and stream videos, talk and chat with each other, and also access educational content and other internet content without needing individual ISP connections. So this journey started nearly a decade ago with a mission to transform and optimize the delivery of information and knowledge to the mass market in emerging economies. But then, quite unexpectedly, unfortunately I might add, I relocated from Nigeria, where the market is, to KW, where the tech lives. This has given us live action experience to the tech ecosystem, especially for IoT. First at the PCH Hardware Hackathon in KW, which was in June 2015, where we cobbled together a couple of Raspberry Pi 2s with some Wi-Fi access points and content delivery scripts to demo the concept of an inexpensive data mesh. Second, at the University of Waterloo Embed program from September 2015 to October 2016, where we validated the market, we iterated to TP-Link routers running OpenWRT, Raspberry Pi 3s, and a host of other smart software and hardware add-ons, including solar and battery components. And third, in the Communitech Edge program from November 2016 till April 2017, where we planned our first test field deployment, fleshed out the device and the platform, as well as firmed up the cloud remote management and content update backend. And we also migrated to the Omega 2 Plus boards, which are running Lidi from the Onion Corporation in Markham. Fourth, in the Velocity Garage starting in May 2017, from where we will manage our test deployment of 15 MVP devices in Nigeria, followed by a planned pilot for a launch of 1,000 production devices by September 2017. But there are many challenges. We need a lot of help. We need help with developing and configuring final hardware devices, for performing rigorous testing, quality control and assurance, finalizing production version launch requirements, producing the form factor for the final Hitch device to meet environmental and operational considerations. To put our mission in context, according to the Dynamic Spectrum Alliance, which is a broadband industry coalition globally, of the 4 billion people around the world without broadband, a quarter of them have only $12 to spend on communication needs monthly. Communication needs includes phone, internet, whatever else you want to call it, but the need for communication. That's not just broadband or internet alone. And a quarter of them have only $7 to spend. Another quarter have $4.40 to spend every month. And the last group has $2.25 every month to spend on communication needs. Now, this last group is the bottom of the pyramid, and these users live on less than $1 a day. So 3 things to remember. Videos in local languages transcend literacy barriers. They enable users to improve skills and sustain resonance of the messaging. We've built a smart router and a predictive video caching platform. We're starting in Nigeria with agriculture, but our mission, which is social, includes half the world's population. So we need all the help we can get. So join us and help us make this thing happen. Thank you very much. So I think it's a bit of a paradox. Most people think, well, if you're going to deliver cheap internet, affordable internet, start with text, start with things that don't take up a lot of broadband. But the evidence and research actually shows that the people who need video the most are people at the bottom of the pyramid, people who don't have access to the interfaces that we take for granted. So when you give someone access to Google or Facebook, you take it for granted they know how to use a computer, you take it for granted they can read, they can write. You take it for granted that if you give them Wikipedia, they should be able to figure it out. But the reality is actually different. The reality is that video is much more powerful as a medium to convey information. There's a lot of research out there that demonstrates this. So the conundrum in it is, how do you then make the video more affordable for people to access? Because if you give them videos in local languages, they can get access to this information. The telcos in Nigeria and other places where we've spoken to said, listen, even in places where we provide basic access to connectivity and internet, people don't use it. They don't see the need. But if the reason for that is because video costs a lot more, so you can actually use a lot of video in those markets. So how do you make the video the core medium for transmitting information? Because that's actually what will teach people or show them how to do different things. So if you're trying to teach a farmer how to farm better, how to become a better businessman, it's actually better to give him a local video and show him how to do it than give him a text or PDF file for him to read, because chances are he might not be able to read it. So the accessibility is critical. So there's 3 components. You have the availability. So is it available? Is there broadband? Is there internet connection? That's availability. Is it affordable? So now it's available. Can I afford it? What is the monthly access, monthly average income in that market? How much can I pay? And that's why if you look at markets around the world, most people at about $20 a month that's where it taps out. Most of the mobile telcos won't move into any areas where it's less than $20 a month. And so if those guys need video and it's going to cost a lot more for them to deliver, then you have to be innovative. And that's where I think innovations like what is happening here in KW and what we're able to tap into from the technology side can then deliver the impact that we see, particularly for video. So video actually is the medium. That's what makes the difference. That's the game changer. How do you then put the technology together from software, hardware, the solar and battery because of energy? How do you then make that and deliver that to the users is the key. And that's, I think, what we've latched onto, and that's what we're focusing on.
Hi, Sean Ferenczi. I'm just wondering what's the next application that you're looking at? You must be looking forward, so maybe telemedicine or Skype type things. What are you looking at next?
So right now, because you have a cost component associated with connectivity, what we're doing is we're doing it opportunistically. So what we're creating is a system where you can push out content, and that's why we started with content, that's why we started with video. Whatever content, whatever pipe you have to the internet, we use that over time to update content, and then that content gets shared to everybody. When you come into telemedicine, you're now dealing with full duplex, very fast connections. It's not impossible. Another way we've looked at that problem is video messaging. So if I do a video explaining how to do something and you pass that message up the pipe, instead of it being real time, it's a lot easier for you to do. It might be slower, but then you can still get the message across, almost like video email, right? But the challenge for us is to first prove from a market standpoint, and that's where I guess the training at UWM comes in. Like, one of the things about KW is I came into this ecosystem and I was talking about the tech and the tech and the tech, and they said, forget the tech, we can do the tech. What about the market? Go validate it. How do you know people will pay? Who's going to pay? Who's the customer? Who's the user? And so the focus then is, which one of these services can you launch in the market, and which one can you get users to start using right away, and that proves and builds up. So things like that would come in. Eventually we get to messaging, chat, and all those other things, all those other features. But the first and minimum viable product we're trying to deliver is that, listen, if you deliver video in these markets, you have a bigger impact and a bigger demand and draw from the users, and that will justify the consumers spending the money as well.
I just wonder, what do they usually consume the video on their phones?
Yeah. So that's an interesting thing that's happened. Most places, and this is the research we've looked at shows that most people, they have phones. Nigeria has a 95% penetration rate for mobile, and that's because you don't have wires in the ground. Prior to 2000, you didn't have more than 300,000 phone lines in a country of almost 200 million people, and that was of course because of inefficiency and a bit of corruption and all that. But what has happened since then, ever since the market has been liberalized, is that you have a lot more mobile penetration. So people have phones, but the question now is, what kind of phones do they have? So some people have smartphones. With what's going on with Android and what Google did with the OS, it has created a lot of sub $50 phones. We have phones right now that are probably about maybe 10% of average monthly income in some of these markets. But the challenge again is the people don't see the need to invest in those phones, because if I get a smartphone and I charge it, it will probably run for maybe on a single charge, maybe 3 days, 4 days. But if I get a very cheap feature phone, it might run me a week, 10 days. So one of the things we listened to in doing the market research was to say, okay, how else do we make it affordable? So when you look at total cost of ownership for a device on which you render video, it's a Wi-Fi enabled device that can play video. We're not doing any native apps, we're doing all this stuff in HTML5. Once it runs a browser, it can run our video. But the challenge then becomes, how do I keep using that device? If I use it, I charge it and I use it for 3 days, I don't have access to energy. And so that's why we built in the solar and the battery component, and we increased the capacity of the routers where people can actually charge their devices. And so it becomes part of the cost of delivering the technology, becomes something that they can also use to charge their devices as well.
I love the idea, and again, we've chatted about this many times over the last couple of years, but one question I have for you, are you looking to, for example, once you download content and then ready it for redistribution, are you transcoding it into lower resolutions?
There you go. So
it's just to reduce bandwidth requirements. So is that something that's built into your router? Is that ability to transcode?
Oh, yeah. So essentially what it is most of the video that's being consumed, even right now on YouTube in emerging markets, is actually transcoded. That's why you have options when you do that. And so we built that into the platform where we're doing mobile first. So most people in these markets don't have a laptop, they don't have a desktop. They're not going to have any, maybe the biggest screen they might have is a tablet. There's even one called a phablet, which is halfway between smartphone and tablet. But most people have a phone. And so we're doing low resolution video. It's still good enough to show. You might not even be able to tell the difference. It's 240, 360p. But at the end of the day, it's video and it is able to transfer the information and communication. But the bandwidth is much reduced. And then even the storage capacity on the device that it has to live on is also reduced. Eventually, we hope that as the capacities of the phones get bigger, that what essentially will be happening is someone grabs a video on the phone and then they can actually pass it off to someone else, even if the person is not close to the router as well. That would then be with the capacity of the phones themselves for storage of the devices. So everything that we're doing is focusing on the minimum we need to deliver, but then again, optimizing it for what the technology is and where the technology is going.
Sounds really interesting. I'm wondering where the content is coming from. Are you guys producing content, or where's the funding? Like, how's that going to happen as you scale it across languages?
So the idea is a number of sources. There's content producers. We talked about local content producers in this. We're forming partnerships with people who are already creating content in those local markets. People who have an interest in creating content that they want to push out to these people. We're calling that sponsored content. But there's also content on the internet that's already available. So one of the things that the platform does is the algorithm actually does an aggregation of content. We can narrow down to an area based on, okay, what is the sample size of the users who are already on the internet right now? What are they consuming? Can we use that as a predictive parameter to be able to pre-download and cache content that we can deliver onto people? That's one side of it. The other side of it then becomes, I have content, I want to push out content. If I put it on the internet, some people might see it, especially from a local person, but if the market that consumes the content doesn't have access to it on the internet, what are the alternative platforms I can push it out on? And that's where we hope to position ourselves. So key into our business model is actually content partnerships as well.
So my question is, many challenges I'm sure you have. What does maintenance look like in these devices? How do things break, things go wrong? How do you handle that?
So there's the one side of it, which is the forward logistics. The other side is the reverse logistics. Something breaks in the field. So one of the things we're trying to design this with is the concept of bricolage in mind. We don't have the view that we're going to design this and come from the top and then just drop it and that's where it ends. Local partnerships are key on the ground. People who already have basic IT skills can support and do this. We're creating something like an on-demand platform where if something goes down, we have a list of people in the local area who can probably fix it and then build that into the cost of delivering the service. But more importantly, we're using low-cost off-the-shelf components, commoditized hardware. We're not doing anything different. We looked at the possibility of maybe developing our own board and things like that. The cost was too high. We said, why don't we go with what's already there, things that already work. IoT is already leading this move towards making hardware as commoditized as possible. The supply chains all the way from China, the support and all the other things that you need in terms of making maybe specification changes to the boards in Canada. What else do we need to do? We need to take this thing, do it at scale, get the devices, but make them commodities. So the key is the hardware is just a commodity. It's actually the software that actually runs it, and that's why we're calling them routers.
Thank you, excellent presentation. My question is just, you obviously have a content strategy going down. I'm curious to know how you plan on collecting information from the bottom up. What do you need in regional markets? What are people asking? What type of content do they want to see? Or how do they want to share data?
Thank you very much. So yes, you're absolutely right. So it's one thing to push content from the outside, and that's top going down, but we actually want to encourage local people to create their own content. There's a lot of talent, there's a lot of creativity in a lot of these markets. Most of you probably don't know it, but Nigeria has a booming, thriving video and music entertainment market. It might not be as good quality as what you guys expect, but people consume it or people pay good money to see it. And so that's one of the things we looked at and said, well, alongside the educational, agricultural, healthcare content that we're pushing out, maybe throwing the entertainment content to be something that attracts people to the table. But essentially, one of the things we want to do is that once one device is in an area and you have a number of devices around, you can create a local mesh. And the local mesh is essentially a local network. and anyone who has access to one device has access to the local network. It's done to encourage people who are creative or people who have the talent to actually create content and upload. So it's not just one way. We want people to actually create and to nurture and to create the platforms for them to distribute the content, to possibly monetize the content, but the encouragement is for local content creation as well, in addition to consumption. So we don't want them to just consume what we're pushing. We want suggestions from them about what kind of content they want to see, and we build that into the interface and the experience for the users on the platform.
Round of applause for OJ.